What's going on, hockey fans? Dan K in pure Pat McAfee mode right now. I just got back from my new gig, my new job. I had to sit down. We're getting a quick little episode in this week. We've got a lot to talk about. We have a lot to discuss, and I cannot discuss it without my right hand man, without my consigliere, without more from another mayor. It's Lucas standing closer to the camera. Jones, I believe they call him. Jones, what's up, Lucas?
If you're gonna go full Pat McAfee, I think I'm gonna go full AJ Hawk as well. I'm just gonna
Oh,
give
just stone faced right in the middle. I
just
like
right
it.
in the middle there.
I like it.
It's too much. It's too much from him. We got to get him a bigger room. Maybe upgrade his closet that he records in a little bit. But yeah, we are firing away here. Dan K show moving right along. We've got a new week of stars of the week, of players of the week from all the different leagues. It's been a blast getting to watch some hockey this week, and quite a lot has been going on in the world of junior hockey as it reshapes itself. But before we get into any of that, Dan, let's get to our first segment. It's a classic Dan K Show mess around.
Yeah.
What has been going on in our world the last couple of weeks? So obviously, Dan, you rode out the back-to-back hurricanes down in Florida. So just real quick, let the folks at home know kind of how your area has been doing in the aftermath.
Yeah. It's been a tough week down here. It's been a tough 2 weeks. You get choked up because I'm always somebody who deals better, Lucas, with bad things happening to me. People, you can call me all the names you want, but if you call Lucas a name, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be frustrated. The worst thing can happen to me. I'll figure out a way to deal with it internally. I don't know how to deal with the pain that others go through, right? And I think that's something a lot of us deal with. And down here in Florida in the Tampa region over these last 2 weeks, there are still places without power. There are still areas that are reflooding each afternoon, keeping people from their homes. There are still streets that are unable to be accessed, that people cannot see their homes yet 2 weeks later. So I know with these storms, we fall in love with the weather coverage. For the young folks watching TikTok, we fall in love with the Lieutenant Dan sitting on his boat story. And we sometimes forget the humans that are involved in this, the people that are involved in this. And I think it's an allegory for what we're going to talk about later in hockey from one major big business that also forgets about the humans involved and worries solely about the entertainment of it all in terms of money for them. In this case, it's we look at the Weather Channel, we watch Jim Cantori, we watch all this, the storm blows through, and we go, okay, it's over. There's some pictures, there's this, there's that. We move on. But the folks here in Tampa, Lucas, they will be healing for a long time. And there are tons of ways for you to help out if you are around the country and want to be a part of it. Feel free. You go and search. First of all, the American Red Cross is always out helping out here. There's a lot of ways to help, a lot of ways to reach out. And if you know people in the Tampa area, send them something nice. Send them a picture of a puppy or something, man. We could all use it right now. I had folks up north sending me photos of raccoons the other day when I was in day 3 and not having power. So sometimes you just need something to pick you up.
Yeah, I mean, if you can donate to any of the various rescue charities or different things, go ahead and do that. If it's as simple as reaching out to a hockey person, maybe if you're in the hockey community, just checking in on some of the teams. We saw some stuff from the Florida Eels. Their players helping out some local businesses, local buildings, guys who were just out there helping. We know that some of the other organizations in the Florida area were, all bringing their kids under one roof or making sure their kids were outside of the projected path. So certainly a lot to still to come from that area, but we were happy to see that a lot of our hockey family, at the very least, were doing okay in the aftermath, and certainly gonna, take a long time for that. And then I think in terms of other things, Dan, one of the more interesting aspects of something like that is life continues for, folks in that area, folks in the rest of the country. And we've certainly been kind of moving along in the last couple of weeks in our own lives as well, picking up some new ventures, some new things. I was happy to accept the technical director position for the Westchester Wolves this week, a Tier 2 organization inside the NCDC. Very excited about that.
Are they paying you in US dollars? Or are
They're
they
paying
paying
me.
you in promises of sunshine and rainbows? And if you don't take it, you're the bad guy.
They're paying me in dollars. They signed me to a contract. Not only that,
Yeah.
but when there was a
Wow.
miscommunication about whether I was broadcasting a game or not, They actually paid me gas and tolls just because they didn't want me to be out of pocket on a
You don't have to
miscommunication.
make them $250,000 to get this paycheck, correct?
No, but I'm sure they would like it if I did.
If they spend any money, do you immediately not get paid?
No, not at all.
Okay, so we did the right thing earlier this year. So perfect. Thank you.
Yes, and I still get to mess around with wires, which is great. That's one of my favorite things to do. Dan, I know you also have some new ventures, but continuing your work with the Florida teams, the Bold City Battalion and the Florida Junior Blades down there, and lots to come. We're going to continue to just keep everybody updated on the things, the comings and goings of the Dan K Show. But we are going to shift into what the main topic of this week's episode is, which is essentially a discussion, our thoughts on what is the biggest trending topic, at least in our corner of junior hockey, as well as some comments sent in to us by the folks at home.
Yeah, Lucas, I've yet to get positivity on this move from anywhere in the sport of hockey. And there, we'll talk a little bit about some of those folks that, due to the worry of retribution because of where they work and what they do, asked to remain anonymous. But we do have those sources, do have those checks, right? We try to be media. For you and I, we're never sensationalist media. I'm not going to sit here and get on top of a soapbox and say something I can't back up with facts, numbers, and written statements, right? That's never going to be the case. So that is something I know is important to me as somebody who spent a lot of time learning journalism, learning media, learning this whole world, and seeing what it's become, and seeing what some people in junior hockey do for entertainment, which is just say whatever they want to say in these moments. We're not going to do that. What we will do is tell you when a moment in the next conversation is our opinion, and when a moment comes from a source that is not us, that is in a place to comment on that. So I think that's where we start, Lucas, is the New Jersey Renegades coming from the EHL to the USPHL in the Premier, in the Elite. For a league that did send out saying that originally that they would no longer expand after their mass expansion email that confused and confounded some folks and made people think that teams were moving regions and had owners dealing with some things because of the lack of brevity in it. A personal opinion there. We look now at a world where the NJ Renegades are adding to an ever-growing list of EHL teams that are moving over to the new USPHL brand. I guess, Lucas, let's start. What are your thoughts here? What are your feelings on this?
Well, I think at the surface level, right, you see teams moving from one league to another, and your first thought is, okay, well, those teams see something, right? They see something in the USPHL setup that benefits them, that they want. And I think that's the surface level discourse of it, is they want to move to the USPHL because it benefits them. Now, we don't know, necessarily why or what the benefits are outside of, just looking at two leagues that for a very long time have been, I think comparable in, especially at certain levels in certain areas of the country with the experience that they offer. So obviously they see something that they want in the USPHL. But where I start to get a little bit confused as to why this would be allowed on the USPHL side of things is because it's one thing to say you've got a ton of teams in a marketplace, right? New Jersey, small state. I live here. Tons of people, not a lot of real estate. But to continue to add more programs to an already crowded environment, you talk about the teams that were added to the NCDC kind of seemed like last minute up in the New England region. You talk about this Renegades team, which has struggled in the EHL, now coming over to a very competitive region of junior hockey in the USPHL. I question what the benefit to the league as a whole is, because it feels like it just adds more competition in a region that already has too much of it.
Yeah, and Lucas, one person when that reached out to us anonymously goes, this is the record of the team we just brought in the last 5 years. 56, 134, 19. A minus 393 goal differential. For a league that is being run by new leadership that took over because they talked about issues with parity and they talked about issues with too many teams, and everybody, I think the quote was, every corner has a junior hockey team. Everybody owns one, right? I think it was something along those lines, paraphrasing from the top. And to bring in a team, Lucas, with a minus 393 goal differential, I don't know. The NJ Renegades could be the nicest people. I don't mean to call them out personally. I hear good things about their leadership in terms of who they are as human beings. But a minus 393 goal differential into a division in the Atlantic with already 12 teams now. I mean, when's enough in this region? And when is this not about growing a hockey league and solely about benefiting one sole entity's pocket?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question, right? Can you look at the Southeast Division, which, has four teams in it? You look at the Atlantic, which is going to be probably up to a dozen. I mean, a baker's dozen at this rate. Barring a dramatic divisional realignment, which I know that you and I had advocated occasionally for in the past, but barring a major realignment, what you've got a New England region that is stacked to the gills. You've got an Atlantic region, which is absolutely bursting at the seams, not just in terms of, again, the Atlantic region, but New Jersey as a whole. And then you've got the Southeast with four teams and Florida with a handful. And it really feels like the New England and Atlantic is being purposefully made into a base of power, if that makes any sense. Like, I struggle to see the reasoning for why you bring in a team like that unless it's literally just a numbers game.
Yeah, Lucas, another outreach to me into my direct messages for the show this week. That was somebody who, because they're playing professionally right now as an alumni of the league, asked to remain anonymous, said it's actually crazy seeing what has happened to this league in the last few months. It's sad to see. Hope it gets better. And that's something, again, that's coming from someone who's played in the league, who has passion for it, who has watched our show each and every year, who reached out originally and started this conversation with me. We started the DM kind of discourse because they were so disappointed to see we were no longer with the league on a week to week basis because the leadership didn't see any value in what we do. They said no one watches podcasts and that we didn't do any work outside of just the national tournament. That was it. So it's one of these situations, Lucas, where you start to hear more stories. I'll dig up another one here. We've got from a coach in the elite saying, "I call me a anonymous coach in the USPHL elite. This this team would not win a game against my elite team, and we are bringing them into the premier fold. I'm severely disappointed and cannot see how this benefits our league as a whole." There's starting to be these this uprising of frustration, right? And this is what happens when there's one voice with maybe differing paths than some of the others in this room. And the question is, it might work. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. This might be a beneficial move. There might be more to the reason why Chef is cooking the way Chef's cooking, right? You might be looking, going, that's enough salt, but it might not be for Chef. So, or yeah, Lucas.
The reason we're kind of fired up about this enough to do this conversation is because we care about the players and the parents. Not to say only, right? We obviously care about organizations and the ownership and the coaches as long as they're providing that experience, right? So it's the sport's about the players and it's about the parents. So if things are happening that are not benefiting the players, not benefiting the parents, whether it's being done in any league, USPHL, EHL, USHL, the NAL, it doesn't matter where it's happening. If it's not benefiting players and parents, we struggle to see why it's a decision being made at all. And I really do hope to have representatives, commissioners from every league throughout the season on this show eventually to be able to talk, to answer some questions, right? But I think right now this is a pressing concern in the Northeast, and obviously something is brewing between the USPHL and the EHL. I mean, you don't have to have really any inside knowledge to see that there is something going on between these two leagues.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of frustration with the last round of leadership that there was incentivization and people were incentivized for expansion, right? Like, what's the incentive now? I would say if I owned a media company that was trying to launch, that I'm pushing throughout this league and changing media providers and video providers, that every subscriber helps me financially. So there's always financial gain. It's just how do you want someone to financially gain, right? And another quote here, Lucas, this is from an owner. I really this is three skulls first, very using the emoji skulls. I do not understand how many times they claimed we are halting all in caps expansion. Then we see another version of this expansion. It's hypocrisy will always frustrate me, Lucas. Hypocrisy will always frustrate me. And what will frustrate me more than hypocrisy is I'm going to get real. We have fought for a decade in the USPHL to ensure that financial gain is not the only goal of youth and junior level hockey. That on top of financial gain, you can earn a boatload of money at this level of hockey and still assist players, grow players, and provide families that pay you tens of thousands of dollars over their career of hockey with not just hockey, but an experience, an entertainment, and a feeling that they are important because they are investing as much as you would into going to a university from the age of 12 on, and sometimes before for people who start earlier. I do not understand this need at the top to become rich on the backs of families, to take rinks over and need to drive the game in a way that this is being done. I just think there is a way to be Jeff Bezos and still provide a product. At the end of the day, say what you will about Amazon. You can dislike the practice, you can dislike what they do, but I could order two like floss right now in Palm Harbor, Florida, and it'll be at my doorstep by 10 o'clock tonight still. That's crazy to me. I don't know how they do it, right? There's something I'm getting as a customer in the billionaireism, in the pure profit of that business. There's plenty of ick in it, but there is something for the customer. You have to have a why for the customer. I care about the families and the players. You can say whatever you want about me. You can say whatever you want about this show, about what we do with this what we've created here. But there has never been a part of my career doing this or Lucas's where we haven't every time talked about how does this benefit a player or a family? How does this benefit an owner who pays 150, 200, whatever, thousands of dollars just to get a team, to then spend more to run a team, and they try to do it the right way, and they try to provide for players, and they try to provide for families, just to see that we're going to tape a camera to the middle of the rink that's a robot camera. We'll call the games from our couches, and sometimes it'll work, but who cares because the paycheck cleared. Tired, man. I'm tired of this. I'm frustrated with it. And Lucas, I'm sure you are too. Maybe not as much as I am.
Frustrated, I think, for the same reasons. You know, I never mind. I've said it a bunch of times. I never mind if somebody has a vision. I will never stop someone from trying to execute that vision. But I certainly think that you can call into question what the vision is. I don't think that's unreasonable. People have certainly called into question our vision a lot over the
All the
last 10
time.
years, and even
I
more
mean, we
over the
just got
last two.
called out. We just got called out by some parents from the team in Casper, and then we promote the kid, and they don't share it, right? So it's like, what are you going to do? We can try all day, but you're never going to be perfect, and that's fine. And you're never going to be the USPHL is not going to be perfect. It wasn't perfect when we were working there every day. I'll never say that it was, right? We wanted it to be better. We wanted to work hard for it. There were stopgaps in our way, and they're the same stopgaps that are still running it, just with a new person now. It's like the people that said no, 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 they're still there. That's not changed. And I care about these owners around the country, these great people, man. These great people that reach out to us all the time, that support us, that we love, man, that we've gotten a chance to work with. Look at the Florida Cup happening this weekend. It's going to be incredible. And there is so much good in it. There is. I know I'm frustrated right now. It's all opinion, right? This is all my feelings. This is Dan K. whines. Dan K. yells at Cloud. There's a lot of good. There's so much good because of the operators out there. You just want to see them getting treated fairly, and that's all I say.
Yeah, and I think we would invite anybody onto the show. And I think that's one of the benefits that we have now, right? Is we can talk about anything, our opinion. We can certainly talk about the facts that exist, whether they come from anonymous or named sources. But we can have really nice conversations with a lot of different folks. And I think one thing that we're hearing a lot of, and one thing that we've expressed, is if there was a long-term strategy and a long-term vision, this might make more sense. So I would invite, either interim commissioner Murray Gunty or deputy commissioner Tony Sazowski to come on to the show and kind of explain what that vision looks like. We had Neil Ravin, commissioner of the EHL, reach out to us because he wanted to talk about what's happening from his perspective, right? Teams are leaving his league, and he wants to shed some light on his perspective on why that might be happening. So we'd invite really anybody from the USPHL if they'd like to come onto the show and to give that vision, and not to say that you have to answer to us, but to kind of answer to the coaches and owners who DM'd us, to answer to some of the players who I know have reached out to me on my end about it,
Yeah.
who are just concerned.
No one's got to answer to us. The guy in the tank top wearing the crazy suit, no one's got to answer to it. You know what
I
I
mean, my
mean?
background's blurred because my spare bedroom's a mess. You don't have to answer the guy who can't keep his spare bedroom clean.
I still got to put my Dan K Show banner back up that I took down for the tenants I sublet my apartment to when I moved to a job that didn't exist. I still got to do that. So that's the guy I am. You don't got to answer to me. No one's answering to me. Everyone's just yelling at me about putting goalies on Star of the Week banners that teams won't promote because we did it. It's puzzling to me, thousand piece puzzling. EHL, Lucas, they've got the college showcase coming up.
Yes, they
How
do.
cool is that? How cool is that they do that? Now that's someone putting their money where their mouth is.
I think it's going to be great. I know that Neil Ravin's excited to talk to us about that as well. I think that conversation is going to be coming out next week. So we're super excited about that, and some of the other great events that are going on around the country. It's just you mentioned the Florida Cup. I know I've been talking to Toledo Cherokee out in the Great Lakes division of the USPHL Premier. They're already preparing for the Coney Cup out there. They're doing equipment upgrades. They bought new cameras. They're doing switcher updates to run commercials. They are getting absolutely ready to go toe-to-toe, not just with the Metro Jets on the ice, but the Metro Jets in the broadcast booth. That's the stuff we want to be talking about. We want to be talking about the positives, about the investments, about the people who are taking the tens of thousands of dollars from players and putting it back into the program. That's what this is supposed to be about.
The things we were told as we left that didn't matter and didn't count as work, nor were they things that were of interest anymore. People are still doing them. They're of interest for the players. They're of interest for the families that invest all that money. It's pretty cool to play for a giant hot dog trophy or a giant Florida Cup. It's pretty darn cool. I love it. I love you folks at home. I want to fight for you. I want to be like your Joe Pesci. You're like my little nephew. And I just rolled into the Alabama mud. And I got mud on my leather boots. And I'm going here going, the Utes, Your Honor. The Utes. This is a reference none of the players listening are going to understand, but I hope you guys do. I'm losing my voice because I've been up since 6 a.m. talking about all kinds of things. And I'm excited, Lucas. Empty net. What do we got? Anything else?
Empty net. I mean, we have, I think, a lot of cool stuff for us coming up. I'm excited to get involved with the Westchester Wolves organization, like I said, and a rivalry brewing in year one with the Jersey Hitmen. Been talking a lot with Matt DiGiacomo, who is the incredible, impeccable, stupendous voice of the Jersey Hitmen. He's given me some restaurant recommendations while I'm in Westchester. So that's been fantastic. And one thing that I wanted to segue that into the empty net is, how great has the group of individuals been since they came to nationals this past year? You talk about people like Matt DiGiacomo, like Sean Bretherick, like Sarah Vassar and Zeke Fravor. They are just continuing to improve. They are continuing to build. The reason we brought all those people to Utica was not just to staff an event, it was to try to grow the game. You select these individuals based on their passion, based on their ability, and based on their willingness to go above and beyond. And a lot of that cost actually came out of our own pockets when we finally did the math at the end of the week. But we love doing it because that's how you grow the game. You grow the game one person at a time by giving people the opportunity. And if we can run through a wall to make other people's lives a little easier, I'm happy to do it.
Lucas,
Dan.
getting up net this week, I found an old favorite of mine.
Oh no, I know what this
By
is.
favorite, I mean not favorite.
I know exactly what this is already.
Uh, for the folks at home, this is from a past life of Dan K. Does anyone want to see the worst photo of all time? Look at that.
Look at that.
That
He
that
had
is horrifying.
that's a young man who had barely experienced life.
He got that young man. So let's talk about that young man. He starts his job at that time in the big leagues. Okay. He's going to the big leagues. He's going to go see the biggest of the big. And he gets there and it starts downpouring. And his hair flops right here. And they go, hey, turn to the left. We're going to snap a picture. Him thinking this is how you get in the building. Nope. That's how you get put on every single lanyard. This was to get into every spring training stadium. You can see this. Want to see Dan Case admit to all spring training ballparks. And I
You
look like
look
that.
you look
And
like you're
folks,
about to take the stage at a Pete Wentz tribute concert. Look like you're about to get real deep into a "Where are you?" type of
oh,
situation.
I'm so tired. Cannot gym. I cannot sleep tonight.
DM us. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. Let us
It's
know what your
my
comments are. Let us
airways.
know if you want Dan to
Spinning
recreate
the
that
hot
picture and that haircut.
frequencies.
I think I would like that very
Vibrations
much.
taking them over
That's all for
quick.
us. And remember, when Dan K's singing emo
That's
songs,
why my head
it's
does
always
not
hockey night.
hockey.